Thanks for catching up. Last minute thought on my part, but it just occurred to me. Big day on Saturday. Big day on Saturday. Probably takes you back a couple of years, 2009.
Crikey, 12 years ago. Is it that long? But yeah, great memories. And I'm actually really been looking forward to it actually because once the tests start, then you know it's real hard rugby.
Yeah. So you were sat in the bar in Bath like that, or did you expect it? Or
No, I was actually at the club, so we all sat in and watched. I'd had a good Six Nations, so you know there's an outside chance, but you never know what they're going to do. So it was really nice to sit there. My only complaint is that it's the only country or the only sort of I think it's got that Welsh contingent, but it rather than go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it goes
yeah.
15, 14, 13. The loose head, well, it actually leaves a hooker right to the end because they list all the props. So I
Right.
was
Yeah.
the last name to be called out. I was on tenderhooks.
Brilliant. So you get to go five games. Nice meat pie against the Sharks. How was that?
It was awesome. I mean, I love South Africa. It's my favorite place to tour. I've got lots of memories there. I took my wife back there on honeymoon. I first went in '95 as a schoolboy. It's just littered with sort of great memories and dreams. So to go there on a Lions tour
Yeah.
was fantastic, and the games didn't disappoint. Playing at Kings Park, which is my favourite ground in the world, the sun was out. As a hooker, it's a dream. It's not raining, um, and quite hard, firm surfaces, so you can run around. So it was a good. Was a good tour. Just unfortunately, Ronan O'Gara tried to spoil it, and the Beast gave us from. But we won't touch on that bit.
Well, yeah, it's fair to say the Beast had his 3 Weetabix that day, didn't he?
Oh,
So you played in, I've read, arguably the most historic, monumental Lions Test match ever.
okay. Elaborate. Let me know some more.
Just I think just the brutality of that. Well, I mean that five, mate. Victor Matfield, Bacchus Bota, the Beast, Duplessis. Jesus. So
They
you
were,
get into that first scrum and you're like, go on then.
yes. I just remember first one just getting boosh and going, oh, and Phil Vickery. I don't know if his neck was, bad. He never played after the Lions tour. And Adam Jones came on. I take the blame as well because it was a massive shock, and it's quite similar, I suppose, to what you witnessed in the South Africa A game. And I do think it will play to our strengths because what happened in that game was pretty much what we'd seen. The games were physical. They were South African teams, but they weren't the test level. They weren't super tough up front. And so that first game, it was like a baptism of fire. They just came out of the blocks, everywhere. And we had the opportunities. I mean, I look back at that game. I've got sort of sad memories because we got pumped in the scrum, but actually we had opportunities to win it.
Yeah, because we were getting hammered at half time, didn't we? And then I think we pulled a couple back. Crofty got one, didn't he?
Right, yeah. Hugo Mondi
So
over the line twice.
yeah, absolutely. So if we fast forward to today, we're going to talk about your selection for the 15, and I've got to say I haven't seen anybody agree with anybody about who should start on Saturday anywhere. But I just wanted to touch on your day job as a leader and a guider of leaders and a guider of CEOs. What It's been tough, right? I mean, you guys, I've seen the documentary. You boys weren't shy when it came to having a few beers and having a good time. But obviously, none of that is happening this time. What would you be saying to Gatland and the others about trying to keep the momentum, trying to keep the focus, do the job when they're literally in prison cells, right? I mean, very nice ones with Netflix, but how do you manage that situation?
Yeah, I think you need to manage all the characters individually. I mean, I think you will have some young boys there that are quite happy playing PlayStation. I know Cowan Dickey will probably, be fully gamed up. But there'll also be other guys on the tour, older people like Mako, Alan Wynne, where you do need to socialise. And I think if they're doing a good job, I'd just be advising them, I suppose from experience, to sort of say, look, try and get the small groups, try and get the interaction, because you will go insane, you know. And I think through the tour, my tour especially, we had lots of sort of, you know, ups and downs, and you sort of start with the hardcore beating the living daylights out of each other, getting to know each other at Penny Hill Park. You know, Paul O'Connell talked about having a couple of beers together and bringing everyone together as a team. So they've managed to do that in Jersey. So there has been a bit of it. But when you get into test week and you're not included in that first sort of, you know, that first test, you're competitive animals, and there will be a lot of disappointed people. So I think whereas in the past you might have sort of let, and I was quite surprised, you know, I sort of, you know, should have chucked my hat in the ring at the end, or recommended someone. But I do wonder if they need a psychologist or a coach out there just to help the mentality of the boys, because you know, normally your mates will pick you up and you can go out and you can have a few beers with the, you know, we used to call them the dirt trackers or the not selected group. Whereas not being able to do that and not being able to do what you love, it will have a tough, that it will be such a mental challenge for those boys that haven't been picked.
Right. If you put that in a work environment now, I guess, you know, rightly or wrongly, we had Freedom Day yesterday, and so there appears to have been a bit of a shift in attitude from top bosses, from a point where actually continue to work at home because we've been pretty productive, to actually I want you boys and girls back in. Is that a big focus for what you're doing right now about helping those CEOs sort of manage that transition back?
Yes, yeah. A lot of, you know, when you talk to a lot of groups, the best people that are doing it at the moment, the best leaders are the ones that are actually listening. They're asking. Yes, that they know what they want, but they're asking, what do do their staff want? What do their people want? And then, you know, you can't bow to everybody's sort of what they need, but you've got to listen. You've got to show the intent. And I think that the companies that are doing that the best, and I heard a lovely phrase the other day, someone saying that if you're vaxxed and relaxed, come back to work. And I think you've got to embrace that, the difference of, you know, the different sort of stages that people are in. I know, being an extrovert, I'm desperate to get out and meet people and sort of, you know, maybe have 1 or 2 days a week where I can get my head down. There's others that don't want to go back yet, and I think, you know, there's going to be a balance. But I think the first things first, you've got to ask how people are feeling rather than just assume.
Yeah, no, good. Right. So
Yes.
Realia marketing exclusive here, guys. Lee Mears, ex-British Lion, World Cup finalist, Bath legend. He's going to name his 15. You can look at the nerves, mate. You got veins in your neck where you're looking so nervous about this.
It's whether I pick the team I'd want to pick or the team I think Gatland's going to pick.
No, you got to pick your team, mate, because we know I think that might be slightly different to what Gats is going to pick, perhaps. So let's start with the hairdryers then. Back three. There's been a lot of discussion about that, and you know the Welsh boys are doing pretty well. Anthony Watson's got money in the bank. Where'd you go back three?
I am going to go, before the tour I'd have said Stuart Hogg, but I'm going to go Liam Williams, Anthony Watson, and Josh.
Okay, try machine.
Adams, yeah, he's played his way. Gats has always said, if you play well, I'll pick you, and he's lived up to it. When I interviewed Gats earlier in the year, he said, look, every time he's in a tournament, he's top try scorer. He just knows where the line is. And I said to you already, you know, Ugo got held up over the line twice, and we could have won that test. Josh is a finisher.
Yeah, no, Ugo's got some. He's got some metal on him now, mine. So he'd have crashed over now, wouldn't he? So your centres, another big discussion point. I guess this depends on who your 10 is, right?
Exactly. This is a tough one. Chris Harris has done a good job. Bundyaki, for me, hasn't really done a lot. And so it was a bit of an outside bet. Do you play Farrell there? Crikey. I mean, I just think in that first test, they're going to come down that channel. So I would probably go, you're putting me under pressure, but I would go Robbie Henshaw.
Yeah.
And I can see why he's looking at Elliot Daly, but I just can't I just can't do it. I'm going to go Chris Harris.
Okay. All right. Okay. So is that chosen your 10 then?
Yeah, yeah, bigger for me. He's been outstanding.
Okay.
And I would have loved to have seen Finn Russell play. Again, I'm not sure if I would have picked him, but I think he's added another level to his game. Bigger. I think Northampton's done in the world of good, and he's playing some really attacking stuff. But he also knows he's always been sort of lauded as not the most attacking fly half, and he's probably in the mould that Farrell is at the moment. But he's improved.
So does that mean that you're going to go Welsh scrum half?
Yeah, this is a good one because I thought he played really well. Ali did on that, and he lifts the tempo. But I think he's going to go Conor Murray. I think he's just going to be physical. They're not going to play a lot of rugby in that first test, so I think he's going to go. And what would I do? I'd go with Ali Price, but he won't. He'll go Conor Murray. So I'm going to say Ali Price. Be controversial, Lee.
No, mate, I thought he was outstanding. I thought he's bossed it really well. He's going around the edges nicely, keeping everyone honest. So probably the toughest pick is going to be 6, 7, 8.
Yes. Oh, again here. I mean, if you're going on form, Hamish Watson's busted some tackles. He's been
but mate, he needs to get a haircut. Seriously.
Oh yeah. And that's why I can't pick him. You can't, can't with that haircut in that. So but he has been on form. So if you were asking me for my form back row, I would definitely say that Hamish Watson, it would be at 7. I would say that I would go. Who would I go at 6? Because he did look at Courtney Laws, but I just don't think. I mean, Faletau at 8. So who do I want as my 6? I think you're going to have to go with a Courtney Laws type character.
Big boy.
A line-out jumper. Whether he can play Tag Burney out there, or does he go? Because the person that's impressed me the most is crikey, what's the Irish number 8 called?
Oh yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Come to me in a minute.
Yeah. He scored in the week, didn't he?
Yeah, been brilliant. So
Conan.
Yeah, Conan. So I think he's an outside bet. So I would probably, if I had my choice, I would go 6 Conan, 7. I mean, it's such a shame to miss Tipperick, but I would go Curry, and 8. I would go Faletau.
Okay, so your old mate Matt Dawson's put Simmons at 8.
Yeah, I just don't think in that first test. I think Simmons off the bench when it loosens up, and I think maybe in the second test. But I think that first test is just going to be pure war physical.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I learned. That first test is just, and then it loosens up. Injuries and people take chunks out of themselves.
So on the basis you reckon it is clearly going to be that brutal, and the text messages we had after AWJ played for 24 minutes. I think who's got your 4 shirt then?
Oh God, yeah, it's such a tough one. I mean, the talisman. Why would you bring him back out if you're not going to start the test? So if it was my way, I would probably play Tag and Marrow, but I think Alan Wynne-Jones has got to be in there just for the history as well. And I'm a romantic, so I'm going to play him.
Okay, so Alan Wynne-Jones, Mario Itoje.
Yeah.
Okay. So tight head, hooker, and then obviously the linchpin of any victory in any rugby team ever, the loose head. We'll save the best till last.
No, I was going to say, why did we leave them till last? But it's where the magic happens, isn't it?
Exactly, mate.
I'm going to go. This is quite hotly contested as well. A lot of people are saying Cowan Dickey. I think you can play Cowan Dickey, but I don't think you can play Luke. And I don't know if you can play. Can you play him and Mako together? I don't think you can. It's one or the other. So I'm going to go.
Because they don't talk to each other.
I just think they're both quite. So the one bit, again, from my experience, was the scrum bit, and that's where Mako struggled. You saw it against South Africa A, and I think he will look at that. What he offers around the field is amazing, but again, I think that's test 2 and 3. So I am probably going to go. What would I do? My heart says play Cowan Dickey, but my head is saying Wyn Jones, Jamie George, and Byrne.
Okay. Okay. So there's some big notable absences there. Certainly some of the English boys. So you've left Farrell. Does Farrell make the bench?
Oh, wow. I'd love to put Marcus Watson there, but he's never going to do it. So
Yeah, he's never going to do it.
Farrell will be on the bench, I think.
Yeah. And Tom Curry you've left out.
Yes, yeah. And again, talented lad. But I mean, him and Hamish Watson are playing so well.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and if you go on form, he's just edging him. But I think it's so hard.
It is, isn't it? It's they were saying they're going to have some robust discussions. I should imagine there's going to be a bit more than robust in some cases, and there's going to be some bitterly disappointed lads. So just final kind of minute, I guess. You played in the monumental first test, and then Matthew Rees, I think, took over in the second, didn't he? So what did they say to you that kept you going after not getting selected second time round, or did you just have to deal with that yourself?
You have to deal with that yourself, and that would be what my one sort of criticism is, that obviously you want to see how someone reacts, and I always like to think I'm a pretty solid trainer, and so you go out the next training session to show them what they've missed.
Yeah.
But I think that's an area that sport's getting more and more is getting better at, but the psychological side of that, how do you deal with it? Because physically you want to show them what they're missing, but if there's no midweek game, the test players are wrapped up in cotton wool, you're in a bubble, how do you prove it? And I suppose it's easier if you've just not been picked to begin with, but being dropped definitely hurts.
Sorry, mate. Didn't mean to bring that up. Let's end on a high. So score Saturday, test score, and then the overall series score.
Yeah, I think it was the best thing we could have done, having that loss against South Africa, Ray. So I think we'll sneak it 21-14.
Okay. And it helps that we're in Cape Town for the whole series now. So
yeah, that's so much
2-1
better.
Lions, 3-0 Lions.
I think whoever wins the first test. So if they win the first test, it'll be 2-1 to South Africa. If we win the first test, we'll whitewash them.
Boom.
3-0.
Having it. Mr. Mears, thank you. Always a pleasure.
Cheers, Paul.
Good to see you, mate.
Take care. Take care.
Take care. Cheers.